Hello everyone, Nick the DM here, and in this video I am covering the last of the demon subtypes, of those that have enough lore for their own video anyways. The rest were listed in the larger demon video that I posted a while ago. So, without further preamble, let's look at the Lumara. The Lumara are a fairly recent addition to the Abyss. That being said, they have plagued the material plane for ages. The Lumara origin story is an interesting one. Eons ago, the demon lord Azuvidexis, lord of primal beasts and scaled nightmares, dwelt on a steaming, jungle-covered layer of the Abyss, known as Engarl. Despite countless assaults on this realm, Demogorgon, the prince of demons, was unable to defeat Azuvidexis. So, he tried a new tactic. He forged a truce with his enemy and aided him in creating a particularly dire cult on the material plane, the Cult of the Ravenous Maw. Once this cult was up and running, Demogorgon stepped back and watched, knowing what would happen next. See, the region in which he helped Azuvidexis establish his cult was under the protection of a particularly territorial pantheon of deities. When the cult of the Ravenous Maw attacked the ancient city of Barliar and slew the priests of the High Temple, this pantheon reacted swiftly. Its members descended upon the Abyss and tore Engarl free from the plane, using their considerable power to condense the entire layer down to the size of a human head, trapping Azuvidexis within. However, the deities of this forgotten pantheon did not expect the Abyss to react as it did. As the deities cast Engarl into the astral plane, the void left behind by the layer's destruction lashed out. The Abyss itself reacted reflexively, like a hungry predator awakened from its eons-long slumber. It struck at these deities who dared to destroy even such a small part of it, and in an instant annihilated the entire pantheon. All that remained were the pantheon's memories and dreams, and the Abyss seized even those. Today, the empty space that once held Engarl is known as the Dreaming Gulf, and the dreams of those dead deities have been transformed into an entirely new race of demons, which we know as the Lumara. These demons are the byproduct of the plane's attempt to digest the fitful last dreams of the dying pantheon of evil gods, cast off waste products of the dead memories and dreams of several forgotten deities. The greatest concentration of Lumara rises from the Dreaming Gulf, the phantasmagoric 230th layer of the Abyss, and spreads out into the surrounding Abyss like a stain or slipping into the material plane through tiny tears in reality. All varieties of Lumara are immaterial creatures, that being their only physically unifying feature, evil unrestrained by the limitations of physical bodies. Most of them possess creatures or objects in order to more effectively work their evils on the world, though some have certain abilities unique to them that work even when unobserved or not currently possessing a host. The Demonomicon proposes that each breed of Lumara evolved from the dreams of a different deity, that each is a corruption of a specific god's portfolio. The decadent Dybbuk, who possess the bodies of the dead in order to indulge in mortal sin, are believed to have been spawned from the remnants of a goddess of love and art. The murderous Guecubus likely formed from the nightmares of a god of law and peace. And from the dead echoes of the goddess of fertility and nature come the deadly Manitous. To date, the incorporeal Lumara have not ranged far from their layer of origin and seem more focused on possessing and corrupting mortals of the prime material than engaging in the petty politics of their elder demonic breeds. Their indistinct nature and lack of physical forms has resulted in obscurity on the material plane, yet their taint in the mortal realm is far greater than most would imagine. Still, in places where mortals thrive in the Abyss, one can find the taint of the bodiless Lumaras. Dybbuk seem most attracted to the realms of the demon lords Grozd and Malkinthet, since these locales offer the brand of hedonistic pleasures that fuel the creature's debased appetites. Gekubus infest the great marketplaces of the Abyss, the citadel of Broken Reach on Pazunia, Grozd's triple capital of Zelatar, and Demogorgon's insatiable city of Lemoriex, where they possess visiting mortal merchants and ride them back to the material plane. More powerful and ambitious Lumaras are thought to exist in the depths of the Dreaming Gulf, but few enough have emerged that any demon inquisitor knows exactly what to look for to sniff out interlopers. The Lumara were only really detailed as a entire subtype in 3.5e Hordes of the Abyss, as well as in some Dragon magazines, but for the most part, any other appearance are just the Dybbuk in 5th edition, but they're not even referenced as a Lumara, just a demon. However, in 3.5e, the Lumara had standard abilities for their race, so let's touch on those now. Lumara had immunity to acid, electricity, and fire, and resistance 10 to cold. Again, if you're not familiar with this just means any cold damage they took was reduced by 10 and potentially negated entirely if it was less than 10 damage. When not possessing a physical body, all Lumara have the incorporeal subtype, which gives them the following traits. Incorporeal beings can only be harmed by other incorporeal creatures, magic weapons or creatures that strike as if wielding magic weapons, spells and spell-like abilities, or supernatural abilities. They are immune to all non-magical attack forms. Even when hit by spells or magic weapons, there is a 50% chance that they ignore any damage from a corporeal source, with the exception of positive energy, negative energy, force effects, or attacks made with ghost touch weapons. Holy water can affect incorporeal undead specifically, so not the Lumara as they are demons, not undead. A deflection bonus to their armor class was equal to their charisma, basically just adding their charisma to their armor class. That doesn't have much standing outside of 3rd edition, or 3.5e. Also part of the incorporeal subtype was the ability to pass into or through solid objects, but they had to remain adjacent to the exterior of the object, meaning essentially they must stay within a square touching the outside of the object and cannot pass through something that occupies a larger space than they do. So essentially this just meant they always had to be immediately one movement space away from exiting the object. They couldn't go far into a large object. While inside of an object, they can sense creatures in squares adjacent to it, but enemies have total concealment from them, meaning there's a 50% chance they miss. Essentially, they were aware of them, but they still had essentially cover, you could say. They can also pass through and operate in water as if they were in air, so that impedes them pretty much not at all. They ignore natural armor, and shields, but deflection bonuses and force effects like mage armor work normally, meaning that only certain armor class bonuses in 3rd and 3.5e specifically would actually work against the Lumara when attacking. Incorporeal creatures cannot fall or take fall damage. They can't make trip or grapple attacks, nor can they be tripped or grappled. In fact, they cannot take any physical action that would move or manipulate an opponent or its equipment, nor are they subject to such actions. Incorporeal creatures have no weight and, as such, do not set off traps that are triggered by weight. Additionally, they move silently and cannot be heard with listen checks if they do not wish to be. An incorporeal creature has no strength score and instead uses its dexterity bonus for both melee and ranged attacks. Non-visual senses, such as scent or blind sight, are either ineffective or only partially effective with regard to incorporeal creatures. Contrary, incorporeal creatures have an innate sense of direction and can move at full speed even when they cannot see. And that's pretty much it for the incorporeal subtype, which is actually pretty well detailed. All Lumara can possess physical objects or creatures. The exact kind of object or creature a specific Lumara can possess and the nature of the possession is noted in the creature's description. This possession is different from the demonic possession I'll talk about in an upcoming video, as the Lumara have variants of possession specific to each of them, and they can't do any other forms of possession. At least as far as I'm aware. Lumara also have telepathy, like other demons in 3.5e, as we've touched on thus far, as if you haven't seen the other ones, you'll probably see if you choose to watch those videos. The specific range for the telepathy is different for each demon and noted in their specific stat block. And there we have it, the lore of the Lumara. An interesting history, but one that isn't mentioned very often, and sadly not really covered in sourcebooks past their appearance in 3.5e, even though one variety of the Lumara, the Dybbuk, appears in the 5th edition Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. And the lore isn't very extensive, but I still find it quite interesting. But regardless, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, you can show your support by leaving a like or subscribing to the channel. I have a few more demon videos on the way, so you won't want to miss out. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!